Hi everyone, and welcome to Dola's Creative TV channel. My name is Veronica Olivier and I am a mixed media artist. And welcome to my studio. This week I am going to show you how to create 5 amazing and beautiful textured backgrounds with just acrylic gesso and a few items lying around in your house. Okay, so we're only going to use acrylic gesso. I also have 5 pieces of mounting board that I'm going to work on to show you how to create textured backgrounds for your canvases. First up, I'm going to use some used tissue paper that I got with a birthday gift, I think. But it's an old piece and it's already torn and scrunched up, so I'm going to use it to create textured backgrounds. Okay, so I'm coating my background with a thick layer of acrylic gesso, and I'm simply going to press my scrunched up tissue paper into the gesso. And where the tissue paper folds or overlaps, I'm just putting some gesso in between the layers and press it down into the wet gesso. I then coat the whole tissue covered background with gesso to prepare this background for painting. You can use this technique to create beautiful backgrounds for mixed media paintings, even in your art journal. But if you want to use it in, for example, a landscape painting, you can cut your tissue paper pieces, for example, to cover mountains or the sky, to create beautiful texture for your painting. Just look at that, beautifully and textured, covered with gesso and ready for painting. Our next background, we are going to use aluminium foil. We are going to scrunch it up and pull it open again and do exactly what we did with the tissue paper. A nice thick layer of acrylic gesso so that we can push our scrunched up aluminium foil into the wet gesso. Of course, the acrylic gesso will flow into the grooves of the scrunched up aluminium foil, and that will dry like that and will ensure that the foil does not separate from your background. I'm just tearing off the sides of the foil because I don't really want to fold it over because I don't want the texture to be too thick. So I prefer to just tear away the sides. Now I'm going to coat my foil with gesso to prepare it for painting. And it all depends on what I want to use it for. If I want to use it for a mixed media piece and I want some of the foil to be exposed, I will cover it lightly. But if I want to use it, for example, for oil or acrylic paints, I'm going to coat it with 2 layers of gesso so that I know that my paint will adhere to my background. And just look at this beautiful textured background in a few minutes. Next up, we are doing exactly the same process, but this time I am going to use ordinary kitchen towel paper. You can see that every time I'm following the same process, but because I'm using different elements to create the texture, they all vary and they are all different. Simply scrunch the paper towel a bit before you press it into the thick layer of gesso. And remember, if you fold it over, you have to just paint a little bit of gesso between the layers as well. The kitchen towel paper is much thicker than the tissue paper, and although I can fold it over with gesso in between, I prefer just to tear the sides away and paint it flat with the white gesso. I am going to give it 2 coats of acrylic gesso because I would love to use acrylic paints and paint something beautiful over this texture. Just look at this beautiful and perfect and ready to use. The second last texture I am going to create with one of my favorite, bubble wrap. Again, I am painting a thick layer of gesso so that I am able to push this plastic into the gesso so that it can stick to it when it dries, and I'm just making sure that I'm not popping all the bubbles. You will see that I did not even cut this bubble wrap, I just simply tore it, and it's not even covering my whole background, so it's creating beautiful texture to the one side, and on the other side it is almost flattening out, so I can create a beautiful mixed media or altered piece of artwork with this beautiful background. Perfect. The last one I am going to create with something that I have quite a bit of. I use a lot of wet wipes in my studio and I like to recycle them. So sometimes I use the wet wipes to create beautiful textured backgrounds even if it has paint on it. But the ones that I'm using today, I accidentally left the packet open and they all dried out. So I'm going to use these also to create a beautiful textured background. Again, a nice thick layer of gesso so that I can scrunch this wet wipe, which is actually dry now, into the gesso to create beautiful texture. Again, I am coating it with 2 layers of gesso to prepare it for painting. I love working with texture in all my artworks, even in my sculptures. And I just love that it is so easy to create beautiful backgrounds, beautiful textured backgrounds with to paint on with things that are lying in and around my house, and with one medium, acrylic gesso. Beautiful. I can already see that to use this in, for example, water or a river to create the illusion of flow. And there you have it. I've created 5 different textured backgrounds using the same process, using exactly the same medium, and they all look different, and I can't wait to paint on these. I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson, and I hope that this inspires you to experiment with different things in your home to create your own beautiful textured backgrounds. Of course, you can also combine different elements on the same canvas to create different textures. I can't wait to paint on these, and I can't wait for you to join me next week on Dala Creative TV. Bye for now.